Welcome to the Viking Age podcast. This is the official podcast of the VikingAge.com. My name is Chris Schad. I write for ZoneCoverage.com as well as the VikingAge.com. My co-host is Adam Patrick, managing editor for the Viking Age and one of the lead editors at the NFL division on Fansided. We do this right here on the Viking Age YouTube channel. We're also in podcast form on Apple and Spotify the very next day. So however you consume us, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe so you never miss a new episode and we can spread the word to the masses. On today's show, it's July. We're waiting for training camp.
Hot.
It's dead and very hot. It might be even hotter when training camp starts.
Yeah.
I remember going out to Mankato and like sweating my balls off watching, City Rice catch passes. So that was always exciting.
Yes. There's many heat-related things you could talk about Vikings training camp with that we don't need to dive into.
Well, also, we could talk about Diana Rossini's traffic stop or, pump the get the Dylan Bell hype train going. But we're not going to do that. We got
Jefferson got a new tattoo or a bunch of new tattoos. We can talk about that.
He got one of himself.
Two of himself. He got one offensive player of the year one, and then he got a tattoo of the catch he had against the Bills.
Maybe it's a prelude to...
So he doesn't forget, I guess. I don't know. I have tattoos, but I don't have any of myself. So I don't know.
I mean, you got to be pretty important to get a tattoo of yourself. What is that?
Sure,
oh,
yeah.
It's my face.
It's me.
Why do you have... I don't like your face to begin with. Why do
you
have a second one?
It's on like the back of his thigh, too. So it's like...
So you can't...
Who's that for? Or no, I think it's on the front of his thigh. He's got another thing on the back of his thigh. He's got like a full leg sleeve now, which is also a choice.
All right, that's the way to go.
That's what kids,
Well, that fits right in because you're like, hey, that's a choice. You know what that's called? It's called a take, and we're gonna sling some takes right now because podcasting, it's a copycat league. Sometimes you see a really good idea, you want to copy it, and you want to bring it to your own show. So we check out the Ringer Fantasy Football Podcast. That's what they're called, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
You check it out so much.
I listen to it. Well, I listen to it once a year at your your suggestion.
I send you the link. Yeah.
Yes, and every year around the time of the NFL draft, they have what's called the Take Purge, and how it works is they just take an hour and they drop takes. It's like a football therapy session because we have so much information.
Yeah, nothing's held against them in the future. It's just to let it all out.
Yes. It's like one big... I might cry by the end of this. I don't know. Like, this is a very dangerous thing. If I had a purge siren, I would do that. I picked up a mask, Adam. They actually thought I was doing some bondage stuff, so I put it back. This is already getting very weird. But nothing's off limits. Nothing's off limits in the Take Purge.
No.
We're good. He's going to cut that out.
No, we're good.
So anyway, Adam and I took some takes about the Vikings football and held maybe just things that piss us off in life. And if this doesn't work, we'll never do it again. If it does, hell yeah. So let's do this. Adam, who should go first here? Who wants to have the first take of the first ever TVA Vikings Take Purge?
You go first.
Oh, all right. I didn't even warm up. Like I'm going to pull a muscle here, but let's go with that. Okay.
You don't need to warm up.
I don't need to warm up at all. Randy Moss never stretched. So
nope, not on game day.
And I'm just as athletic as Randy Moss, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my first take. The Wilfs value Kevin O'Connell's 2025 season more than the 2022 season and the 2024 seasons. Now, I'm going to protect myself just a little bit and give disclaimers on my takes. I know that the Vikings won the division in 2022, but that was with Mike Zimmer's team. I know that the Vikings won 14 games in 2024, but they had an easy schedule and they rode Sam Darnold's vibes. The 2025 season, in a nutshell, and this is all probably how the Wilfs see things. Kevin O'Connell used 3 different quarterbacks, including one that had the audacity to have a kid during the regular season. Christian Darrisaw was hurt. Justin Jefferson was not Justin Jefferson. And I know a lot of people are out there and they're like, well, bad quarterback play. Justin Jefferson was not himself last year. Whether he was just pouting because the balls weren't accurate, whether they were throwing too hard, or whether he just got hurt in the training camp and kind of, fell apart after that. That was a problem. Jordan Addison went missing in London like me in the toy department at Target when I was 8. I would play, Sega Genesis or whatever, dating myself there, but who cares? And, after about like 10 minutes, I'd be like, oh, is grandma ever coming back? That sort of thing. So then I'd have Paige over the thing. And yeah, it was a whole thing. Things could have unraveled pretty quickly in that locker room. And then Kevin O'Connell at 4-8 asked the magic question. What would the high school version of yourself think right now? Oh, some Friday Night Lights shit, right? They crawled out of the hole. They finished 9-8. They beat the Packers to end it. And then came the offseason where every team in the NFC North has won a playoff game since Kevin O'Connell was hired. Now, the 2 games that Kevin O'Connell has been in, he's pissed his pants. The game against the Giants and the game against the Rams. And you could throw in a third game because there was that Week 18 game against Detroit in 2024. But Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah got fired, so he won that battle. He got to make every decision this offseason while Rob Brzezinski took down orders like pizza toppings. Like, you want it? Okay, let's do this here. He got a new GM who he's BFFs with again, but probably won't hesitate to stab him in the back. And out of all of this, Kevin O'Connell is not on the hot seat going into this year. I know people think he is. He is not, because he has the Wilfs wrapped around his finger because, oh my God, his culture saved the season. We finished 9-8, whatever. He is like the big brother who draws all over the face of the little brother and all the walls, and then he hands little brothers the crayon before mom and dad get home and go, he did it. It was me. I didn't take JJ McCarthy. That was all Kwesi's idea. Kwesi, him and his analytics, his door's always closed. And I'm sure it'll be Kyler Murray or JJ McCarthy's fault if they don't make the playoffs this year. Now, of course, he could rebound. He could have a big season, and we'll get all those post-game speeches that sound exactly the same, but the Wilfs will eat it up, and all the fans will eat it up, and Kevin O'Connell will be great. But I think that the Wilfs view Kevin O'Connell so highly because he kept last season from becoming a 4-13 disaster class.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to get a top 5 pick. That would be,
no, you might be the Jets or the Browns.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't disagree with you about this. One of my takes in the future kind of has to do with this, so I'm not going to expand too much into it. But yeah, the Wilfs. Yeah, they would rather be 9-8, 8-9 every year, be competitive, than for 1 year or 2 have a record that's one of the worst in the league, like the Browns, Jets, or Cardinals. They think for some reason, whatever, if that happens, they're going to turn into the Browns, Jets, or Cardinals, when the Vikings are internally, like facilities-wise and everything, one of the best run organizations in the NFL. So all that's just going to go away if you have a losing record? No. I look at the 49ers. Like, I feel like Kyle Shanahan's been there for a while, and it seems like they're kind of on like an every other trajectory too, kind of like the Vikings, where like they're really good 1 year, they'll go to the Super Bowl, NFC Championship, then the next year they'll have some injuries and they'll be like, why don't we shut some people down so we can have, like, not so great record, get a top 10 pick, load up, and do it again. For whatever reason, the Vikings just don't want to do that. And I'm not sure why. I don't know if the Wilfs think they're going to like lose money from ticket sales or something. I don't know. But totally agree. I think the Wilfs looked at those last 5 games, and especially that last one against the Packers, even though it was against the Packers backups and they cut the quarterback who started the next week. That game just meant so much. Just the fight that team had, especially J.J. McCarthy getting that taunting penalty. He's just a competitor, and then he took himself out. But yeah,
JJ knew what that game was, and
The stakes. He knew the stakes.
The stakes, but then the theatrics and
the stakes. The actual stakes of that game where they should have fucking lost, and they would have a fourth place schedule. But no,
you know what pisses me off even more? The 2023 season, because Kirk Cousins shreds his Achilles, and then everybody with a brain was like, "Hey, we should trade Danielle Hunter." But then they beat the 49ers. Or no, that was the week before. They beat the 49ers because they started that season 1-4, right? So they beat the 49ers, and then everybody started to believe, and they played Creed because that's what Kirk Cousins likes. And
they beat the Packers too when Kirk got hurt.
Yeah.
And then Dobbs came in. They beat the Falcons, and they beat the Saints, and then they lost 3 in a row. And Nick Mullins came in. And
and great. You know what would have happened if they would have lost those games? They could have got Drake May. They could have got Kevin O'Connell's beefcake.
Jaden Daniels.
So, yeah. Maybe not Caleb Williams, but probably I don't know. Yeah, probably not.
All right. For my first take of the TVA Take Purge, I'm going to say if the Vikings do not win a playoff game next season, they should trade Justin Jefferson. Yep.
Okay.
He's 27, which is very young in our real life, but for receivers, he's getting closer to the end of his prime. He might still have 4 or 5 years left. Who knows? But going with the Bill Belichick philosophy of moving on before it's too late would be kind of the way of approaching this. So they can trade him post June 1st, and they would create $30 million in salary cap space and only have like 19 dead cap if they did this. It would give the Vikings more assets for Nolan Teasley, depending on when they would trade him, whether it's the 2027 NFL draft or 2028. Even if they know they're going to trade him, there are 4, potentially 5, even more wide receiver prospects who could be first-round talents in 2027. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but re-signing Addison would be cheaper than keeping Jefferson around. And teams seem more willing than ever to make like blockbuster trades. We saw Myles Garrett, AJ Brown, Max Crosby should have been traded. And I think they should trade him before he requests a trade. But because if the Vikings have more quarterback problems next year, they don't win a playoff game, I think he's going to get to that point where he's like, yeah, I need to go somewhere where I can win. So I think, and it's been what? He's been with the team since 2020. So this would be year 7. And he himself would also not have a playoff win during his Vikings career. So you've been with this player for 7 years. You've built a lot of your team around him, and it's still resulted in 0 playoff wins. So what exactly would be the point of keeping him? I know he's one of the best receivers in the NFL, but the smart teams in the league today take advantage of players when they are still at a high value. You could probably still get a first, maybe 2 firsts for him next year, depending on how he plays. And then use that to build from the draft, which is what the Vikings hired Nolan Teasley to do. And then get back to, being a competitive team and winning in the playoffs. So this might be a little outlandish, and I personally would not like it to actually happen, but I think it's something the Vikings should strongly consider if they don't win a playoff game again in 2026.
Here's a unfortunate truth about the Vikings, because I think a lot of people look at so here's the actual coincidence here. Randy Moss played 7 years in Minnesota. This is Justin Jefferson's 7th year.
7-year itch.
And I agree with you a little bit, because Justin Jefferson has $14.2 million in guaranteed money next year. Don't need to talk about that contract. They will talk about that contract, however, in 2028. Actually, they might do it in 2027 because he's got a cap number of $49.4 million, which for a wide receiver is pretty pricey. This roster right now is Justin Jefferson and who? What player are you excited? You can tell me Will Reichert, and I just laugh at you because you're probably right. And why is your second best player
Dylan
kicker?
Bell.
Dylan Bell. Damon Claiborne. Diet Jameer Gibbs. Come on. I kind of
I
just
like
spilled
Dallas
my
Turner.
next take
I like
there.
Dallas Turner, but he still has a lot to prove too. He's not at that level yet.
And I mean, I think with this to work, you need to hit on guys like Dallas Turner. You need to hit on Caleb Banks. You need to hit on Dominique Orange. Like this draft class, which Nolan Teasley did not pick, by the way.
Right.
Like this draft class needs to hit for this Justin Jefferson window to operate. And yes, I know he's the best receiver in the NFL, even though his stats last year didn't show it. I know every, TikTok account is just putting out top 5 trade destinations things, but if it does not work this year, like I think you at least got to listen to those offers and be like, hey, Kevin, I know like he's the focal point of your offense, but we got to think about the future here because, at some point we got to build a championship team and you haven't done it with Justin Jefferson.
Yeah. Look how many young receivers have been good over the years, like all out of the draft, Puka Nacua, Jackson Smith and Jigba. There's so many young receivers every year that come out of the draft. I'm not saying every single receiver because there's also receivers that suck too. But when you're going to an offense like Kevin O'Connell's, if he's also still the coach, which will come and play in my next take, like you're gonna want receiver. This is a receiver offense. Like this is not a running back offense. Sorry, everyone who thinks it's going to be. It's not going to be. If you're a receiver, you want to play in Kevin O'Connell's offense because you're going to get a lot of opportunities, and he's going to make it easy for you to get the ball. And I think too, like Justin Jefferson, I know he takes a lot of attention away from other players on the Vikings offense, but they're essentially playing with like 10 players every time they go on the field because they've got Justin Jefferson's getting double, triple covered every time. Like he's not usable anymore. Like I understand that can be an advantage, but there's certain times you want to do things on your offense and you can't because one of your guys is being triple covered. So like half the field sometimes is eliminated because you can't go to that side. But you look at players like like Calvin Johnson on the Lions when he was playing, he was definitely the best receiver in the NFL. What did the Lions do while he was on their team?
Nothing.
They went 0-16.
Yeah.
Was he on the team? He was on the team, right? When they went 0-16? Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
That's how much a receiver matters when it comes to winning. They went 0-16. Might have been a year or two before. But still, they didn't do anything. Even when
he was on the team. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. They went 0-16 with the best receiver in the NFL. He might have not been at that level yet, but still, like the Lions would have been better off trading him during that time and getting others. I think they had was Matt Millen still their GM then, so it might not matter if they traded him because he would have just fucked up the picks anyways. But
I'm looking here. Should tell me, right?
Yeah, it should. But I just think everyone loves Justin Jefferson. Everyone loved Randy Moss. Everyone loved Adam Thielen. Everyone loves Stephon Diggs. Like, there's going to be other guys that come in and capture the hearts of Vikings fans, other receivers. There always is. Like, this is a receiver hotbed. It always has been during, their entire existence, going back to Ahmad Rashad. So, like, if Jefferson leaves, someone else will fill his shoes. They're not gonna be the Browns. They're not gonna be, the Cardinals. Although the Cardinals had Larry Fitzgerald. But even that. But like, I just think it needs to be a serious consideration if they don't win a playoff game next year. Like, what are we doing? Because, there's that saying of doing the same thing over and over again and getting the same result is like the definition of insanity, which is basically what Vikings fans do every year. So why we're all insane. So, what do you got?
Are you asking my next take or?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you wanted me to elaborate more. That'd be a sad day for a lot of Vikings fans, though. They couldn't.
It'd be sad too, but
you could still do the gritty. You could still cheer for other players.
Yeah,
half the fan base cheered for Sam Darnold last year, so there is that.
Where would you feel like? Obviously, don't trade him to the Packers. I don't think that would ever happen, anyways. I feel like it'd have to be an AFC team,
Right.
like the Chiefs or something.
Patriots? AJ
Yeah,
Brown doesn't work
yeah.
out? I mean, they don't have a first-round pick next year.
No,
They do.
You know
They
what?
do.
The Bills were making up all these trades before. Bills fans
Yeah.
making up all. Just send him to Buffalo, just like Diggs. It'll be like the Rodgers and Favre path. It'll just be Diggs and Jefferson.
Before I get into my next one, I should probably say these are not things we wanted. Like,
No,
it'd be awesome if Justin Jefferson finished his career here. But yeah, if you miss the playoffs, might have to have a difficult conversation.
you have
about
to
it
be
because-
smart. Like, you can't just you can't just do the same thing over and over again and hope for a different result. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's definitely. This is kind of the turning point year for the Vikings, where they got to make a decision here. And I mean, I think Teasley's not going to shy away from that decision.
Well,
he
was part of the regime that traded DK Metcalf last year. So,
and he traded Russell Wilson too.
Yeah.
So
he's not afraid of that
there is
stuff.
that. That's kind of a good segue to my second take. And it's that I would find as much joy out of a 5-win season by the Vikings as a 10-win season. Now, again, disclaimer, I want the Vikings to win as many games as possible. So, I'm not, a lot of people, you're not a real fan. Those don't fucking exist, first of all. They'll take within the take. Like, stop with this real fan
those
shit.
Those people on X don't exist either in real life. So,
oh yeah, they're bots.
Yeah.
It's like it's like iRobot, except you can't actually see them. So maybe that should be a movie. I don't know. Let's say the Vikings win 10 games next year. How does it look? Like, Kyle Murray probably plays well enough to get you to the playoffs because he's probably going to be the starter. Maybe he gets a big win in week 18 to get in the playoffs and everybody's all excited. Hell, maybe they win a playoff game. Maybe they pull that out of their ass. I don't know. They go to the playoffs. They maybe win a game. And then you know what the Vikings front office is going to do? Well, Sam Darnold left and then we can't let Kyler leave because Sam Darnold left and he's going to go win the Super Bowl somewhere else. They paid Kyler for an average to above average season because I don't think he'll be elite. I don't think we're going to see Sam Darnold, who is an MVP candidate with the Vikings, by the way. So that's a pretty high bar if you think Kyler Murray is going to be Sam Darnold. And then all of a sudden we're back in the Kirk Cousins vortex where we're trying to make signings and everything else. I know there's a middle tier quarterback market now, but you're just going to be stuck in the same spot you were with Kirk. If the Vikings win 5 games, I think this team gets the facelift that they have been avoiding for years. And it's not a rebuild. Actually, it might be a rebuild, but nobody wants to use that word because it's like dirty here in Minnesota. But Nolan Teasley, as you mentioned, is a master at rebuilding without actually tanking. He finds pieces, he gets the most value out of them, and he gets assets for them. I don't think they'll fire Kevin O'Connell if they miss the playoffs, unless there's some crazy ass scandal that happens. So you still have him probably. You're in a position to get a quarterback. Maybe you sign Baker Mayfield. Because also, too, if they win 5 games, I don't think J.J. McCarthy's going to, pull the Phoenix bit and all of a sudden
he probably would
this is our guy.
He probably would have played it in that 5-11, 5-12 season if they went that way.
Correct. So, I mean, maybe they go out and they sign Baker Mayfield and they try it again. They pair him with a draft pick. Maybe you sell some guys at the deadline. Maybe you are trading TJ Hawkinson, who will be a free agent. Maybe Aaron Jones gets you something. Hell, maybe you go big. Like you said, Justin Jefferson, trade Jordan Addison. You really want to pay him? So, I mean, that's a move where you could get draft picks, I'm sure. And maybe you can move up. And I think Arch Manning and Dante Moore are pipe dreams as of right now. Anything can happen between now and the draft or whatever. But is Julian staying there? He's a very accurate quarterback. I'm sure Kevin O'Connell would like that. CJ Carr from Notre Dame, Drew Mestemaker from Oklahoma State. Those are all guys that could be in play by the time we reach the draft next year. And I think the biggest thing that would get me if the Vikings only won 5 games this year is they would finally get the message, this shit isn't working. As bad as last season was, I don't think they learned anything. I know they fired Kwesi, but Teasley and Murray are just slapping some Flex Seal on a leaking shark tank. Like, just like, oh yeah, this will fix it right here. We got rid of the problems. Now JJ's gonna learn. Like, as it stands right now, you mentioned Justin Jefferson. And I said it's Jefferson and a bunch of guys in the roster. To me, Justin Jefferson isn't the face of the Minnesota Vikings. It's Kevin O'Connell and it's Brian Flores, because they have to coach their ass off just to elevate this team. And they could very well do that. But I think that, this team feels like their shit doesn't stink. And I would love a 13-win season. I would love something like 2024. That would be great. But part of me wants to see them get humbled, because you could argue they did last year, but they really didn't when I look at their offseason.
Yeah, and I'm starting to think of things that I've listened to and read over the last months, is that Kwesi was let go, and as late as he was, because I don't think he wanted to bring in a quarterback like Kyler. I think he wanted to keep going with JJ, and Kevin O'Connell was like, "No, we're not doing this again." And then he stormed up the stairs to the Wilfs office, and it's like,
Mom!
he's not letting me do what I want to
Mom!
do. And I bet you Brian Flores, though, agreed with him, because Brian Flores got an extension and Kwesi was fired. But it sounds like Kwesi wanted to roll with try and still continue with McCarthy, and KOC was like, I don't. I want a veteran quarterback who actually knows what he's doing, which, fine. That's what works best in your system. That's fine. Then don't agree to bring a rookie quarterback in, or a young quarterback who's inexperienced, because he's not good at developing that kind of quarterback. He's good at taking quarterbacks who've been cast to the side and who had talent when they came in and just ended up in bad situations. He's good at taking those quarterbacks and getting the most out of them, but he's not good at developing a quarterback from ground zero, and we've seen that. 5-12. That would be
a long season.
That'd be. I don't want to start looking at mock drafts in November.
It sucked last year. Like, I fully admit I was pissed.
At least,
but
I
think.
I was going to say at least. Okay, you go.
Well, I think we are prepared that this team very well could suck. Whereas last year, it was not even in like the range of outcomes.
Yeah, they have the fourth.
Like, they're going to the NFC Championship game at least.
They're picked to finish fourth, right? Odds have them finishing fourth in the NFC North, which NFC North fourth could be first in the NFC South. So
they could be 10-7.
They could, they could. They were a wild card team when they won 14 games.
Yeah.
So. All right. My next take has to kind of do with something we've kind of sprinkled in and talked about. But if the Vikings do not win a playoff game in 2026, this probably is not going to happen. But Kevin O'Connell should be fired. He should. That would be 5 years, no playoff wins. What coach deserves to do, like, Mike Tice won a playoff game when he was with the Vikings. Brad Childress won multiple playoff games when he was with the Vikings, and these are coaches that everyone thinks KOC is better than. No, right now he's not. He has not won a playoff game, and if he doesn't, then he should be fired. Winning regular season games, it doesn't mean anything. Like, if you don't win playoff games, like Peyton Manning all those years with the Colts, like their best team in the AFC or whatever in the regular season, and they pooped their pants as soon as they got to the playoffs. Like, guess what? They fired their coach and brought in Tony Dungy, and they won the Super Bowl. But it also proves that KOC's ceiling is only getting in the playoffs, just qualifying for the playoffs. Once he gets to the playoffs, the stage just becomes too big for him, whether it's by a couple points or whatever. But it just proves that he's not capable of getting the Vikings to where they want to be, which is winning not one playoff game, first off, multiple playoff games in the same season, which also hasn't happened since 1987. So that's also a problem. But you fire him. We know every year there's plenty of talents who could come in. You could hire. Who's the dude from Jacksonville that was with the Vikings?
Oh, Grant Uzinski. I think I butchered his name. But
bring him back. Hi, young coach. Bring him back. It would allow Nolan Teasley to bring in his own guy, which I think would probably make him feel more comfortable, regardless of what he says about, collaboration, everything with KOC. I'm sure he's like, I got to make this dude happy, or else he's going to go up the stairs and cry to the Wilfs.
Yeah.
So Dennis Green won his first playoff game with the Vikings in his 6th season. That's not something they should be striving for, though. Like, they shouldn't be like, well, Dennis Green did it, and look what happened to them after he won. They went to the NFC. No, no, don't do that. That's not a guarantee. Like, and KOC is a great leader, great locker room guy, whatever. But the NFL is about winning in the playoffs, and if you can't do that one time in 5 years, then you need to find someone else.
I think the Wilfs view Kevin O'Connell, because they always talk about continuity and how they want to get it. They view him as Tony Dungy. Like, Tony Dungy did not win in Tampa Bay. He had the same kind of thing. I don't think it was as hostile. Like, last year was toxic. Like, I don't care how last season ended. It was a toxic year, just overall. And I'm sure the locker room was all galvanized and tight. That's great. You didn't win games. But I also feel like you mentioned Dennis Green. This is his Dennis Green year. This is 1997 Vikings, because Dennis Green needed a miracle in that playoff game. They need to recover an onside kick. And I can't remember how many points they were down, but that's against the Giants. They draft Randy Moss the following April, and then holy shit, it took off from there. But I think that, yes, I don't think he's getting fired. I just don't think your take is he should get fired, and I agree with that. But at the same time, like I think he's so wrapped around the Wilf's finger, or did I say that backwards? Wrapped around.
They're wrapped around his finger.
Wrapped around his finger, yes.
Yeah, he's got them wrapped around his finger.
I went to broadcasting school. Just don't judge me there. But it just that they're so whipped by Kevin O'Connell that it's just like, anything he does wrong, it's not his fault.
I think they're afraid of, the Leslie Frazier years were not that long ago, and that was a disaster. And they picked a guy they liked or whatever, who was well-liked in the locker room, and it went poorly. And then they got Zimmer, who did well. He was there for a while, but, his methods ran dry when they weren't winning as much. And they probably are just like, if we're going to, be mediocre, we might as well have someone that people like, maybe that's Kevin maybe that's them getting older, like the Wilfs. They're not spring chickens, the main owners, Ziggy and Mark. So maybe they're just like at that point in their life where they're just like, you can relate to this. We'd rather just be happy than, trying to find something new that might take us a couple steps backward.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think is Kevin O'Connell's approval rating right now, like among the fan base?
Oh, fan base?
Yeah.
I just read Alec Lewis did a survey in The Athletic. It looked like, I don't know, like 70% of the fan base is still like behind him.
That makes sense.
Does that seem low?
I think it's about accurate, because I think a lot of people still think like it's more JJ's fault than anything else.
And
Kwesi's. So 70s probably about right. Like this time last year, it was like 99.9%.
Oh, yeah.
So
he was coach of the year.
Coach of the year. He could hold up that trophy. Just be like, hey,
he could have.
You think I'm making the wrong decisions?
Johnny Manziel could have unretired, and he would have been like, oh, I can turn him into MVP quarterback.
Yeah, I'm the quarterback whisperer. You doubting me? All right. So for my next take, I'm going to go back in the time machine. I'm going to go back to 2004. And I'm going to say it this way, because the 2004 Vikings might be my favorite. Not might be. This is a take purge. They are my favorite Vikings team. And I will make honorable mentions, the obvious ones. 1998 was the genesis of my diehard Vikings fandom, with Randy Moss, all that stuff. 2009 was a blast because I was in college and I pretty much drank through it. And 2017 was also insane. I was at the Miracle game, and it may go down as the happiest day of my life. But the 2004 Vikings were a hot mess, and I did not care. I fucking loved it. Dante Culpepper the Madden create a player, basically.
Mhm.
6'4", 265 pounds. He could run. He could throw it like 90 yards downfield. Might be an exaggeration, but I bet he'd come close.
Close.
He had an MVP seat. Like when you look up his stats, if it weren't for Peyton Manning going off that year, he would have won the MVP award. Like he was that good. I know the Vikings were only 8-8 that year, I believe, but I mean, he was insane. The defense was a dumpster fire. So every game was like 34-33. And it was just like, everything else. Mike Tice, you mentioned him earlier. He was the ultimate, I just became important at work head coach. It's just like, I guess they'll hire me. I don't know. And Randy Moss only played half of that season. And when he did, he went out and he mooned the Packers. Like, you want to sit there and you want to celebrate beating the Packers? That is the number one win over the Packers in my lifetime. And it's with a bullet. Joe Buck nearly had a stroke when he mooned the Vikings. And I did hear Tom Pelissero actually had an interview on Score North. I think it was a couple years ago. And he explained, his theory was that everybody in the press box thought Moss was pantomiming, taking his pants down and wiping his ass on the goalpost. And he thinks that's what Joe Buck saw, and that's why he did that. Still a horrible call.
Kind of weird because he was wearing white pants and he doesn't have white legs.
Well, I mean, there was dirt all over the place. So, but I mean, pantomime, he not actually doing it, just making the motion, So anyway, but here's the best part. Brock Lesnar was on the roster during training camp, suplexing dudes, breaking up the kickoff coverage wedge that's now illegal. He ran into that thing. He's concussed. Now you can't laugh at concussions, but I mean, he was just oh man, it's just insane to look back on that year. And I think it was just also a time where I was just excited to watch the Vikings every week because I had no clue what was going to happen. Are they going to score 60 points? Are they going to give up 60 points? Is Randy Moss going to walk off the field? Is he going to leave after 2 plays? Is Nate Burleson going to catch 3 touchdowns? It was insane. And I have been looking, we've had some great teams, like I mentioned, but I have just this year's team, I think, is a hot mess. They're just a mess. They're not even a hot mess. They're just kind of I don't know about these guys. That team, the Kelly Campbell, coming out in that Green Bay game with the froze, and he's just what's afros? He's like, America's finest receivers on Sundays, afros. Unhinged, absolutely amazing, and I miss it. So 2004 Vikings, my favorite Vikings team.
It's a very memeable team. If
yes.
Twitter was around back then, there would have been a lot of. They might have overtaken the JJ McCarthy memes that I am still seeing after the U.S. lost in the World Cup. I had to see a couple of those pop back up. No, I think 2004 was one of the first seasons that I don't remember vividly. I was still, growing up in upstate New York. So obviously we don't get the Vikings games there locally, and I didn't have Sunday ticket or anything. So those times I'd have to wait for either I'd watch the Fox post game or I'd watch primetime every night to see the highlights. But that's one of the seasons where I don't remember as vividly, but I do remember the playoff game of the Minnesota Moon. Obviously Chris Collinsworth was still on the Fox announced team. Then I believe, was it a 3-man booth with Aikman and Collinsworth, or was it just Collinsworth? Yeah. Wow.
Because I remember the Collinsworth call because Aikman was kind of
because he was
Collinsworth's hey, there's the guy right there.
He's
showing his ass to the crowd.
Yeah, he was loving it. And Joe Buck's oh God,
disgusting.
But yeah, Joe Buck's come out and been yeah, I'm an idiot for saying that anyways. Not that Vikings fans. Well, I think Vikings fans do like him more now because he did the Diggs sideline touchdown call, so he redeemed himself with that. But yeah, 2004 was. It was I'm trying to think of another team recently that was sort of like that. It was just just a group of guys that just fun somehow. I think of I remember like the Vrabel Titans team that made like the AFC Championship with Ryan Tannehill, and you're like, how are they playing? How did they make it this far? Like they
How
beat
are you still
they beat the
alive?
Tom Brady Patriots. They beat like the Ravens, and now they're playing. And they were leading the Chiefs at like halftime. So like teams like that are always fun. Like even the 2017 Vikings, like they had an awesome defense, but the offense was like Case Keenum, Jerick McKinnon, Thielen wasn't like he was just hitting his prime. Diggs was in there, like Kyle Rudolph. But yeah, those it's always fun to look back at those teams. Also, that was 22 years ago, so it's
Yeah.
a long time ago. Long. But you know what they still had? They still had the sad Fox music whenever someone got injured, and then they ran out for it. I've seen so many memes of people like, I want this played at my funeral when I die.
The last thing I will say about it too, that team had no chance to win a Super Bowl, but
No.
God, I loved it.
Was that the same year Tice got in trouble for scalping tickets?
I think so.
And then a few months later, Love Boat.
Yeah. Love Boat in 2005. Randy Moss got traded even. I mean,
yeah.
that
Red
whole
McCombs
stretch was just insane.
sold the team. Yeah,
yeah.
I would say someone then what's the SB Nation place that does like Secret Base? Didn't they do to cover this a little bit in the
I think that was
documentary?
Barstool.
Well, Barstool did a Love Boat one, but I know Secret Base did like I think they did the whole Vikings thing, and it was like 12 parts, and I'm sure they covered like this season because this stretch of like 2004 to 2005 Vikings, because you had the Culpepper like crazy MVP season, which I'm pretty sure that all the numbers he put up is still a single season record for any Vikings quarterback. And then the following year, his knee explodes and his career's over.
Yeah.
He went to the Dolphins to be with Nick Saban, who picked Dante Culpepper over Drew Brees.
That's why Nick Saban went to back to college after 1 year. Yep. Just like, I'm going to go to Alabama and get some natties. All right, your turn.
Here's my third final Vikings related take. I have one final one that's not related to the Vikings, but I think the Vikings will never win a Super Bowl with the current generation of Wilfs as their primary owners. Like I mentioned before, Ziggy is the chairman or owner or whatever, and Mark's the team president. I just don't think their level of patience is high enough for what it requires for someone to build a champion. They would rather hire someone who won't ruffle the feathers than someone with a proven track record. See John Harbaugh. They're from New Jersey. They always talk about growing up rooting for the Giants. We want our team to be like those Super Bowl winning Giants teams. Hey, newsflash: the Giants had to suck to get the number one pick to get Eli Manning. So they don't give the number one pick to the best team in the NFL. So that had to happen. So I don't know what how the Wilfs think that's going to happen. But like we've said, they're more afraid of their franchise turning into the Jets, Browns, or Cardinals than they are motivated to do what's necessary to build a consistent winner. If a Viking season is going poorly, ownership is never going to be okay with the team losing more games to get a better draft position. They're not going to be okay with shutting down players that will probably cause a team to lose more. They'd rather finish 9-8, 8-9, beat the Packers at least once.
Yeah.
And none of it means anything at all. Now, the Wilfs have kids. Some of them are already working for the Vikings, and I'm assuming and it did come out when the insider extraordinaire Charlie Walters said the Wilfs were probably going to sell the team because they weren't spending any money, and the Wilfs were like, "No, we're keeping them for like forever. It's going to be passed along through generations." They have kids. A lot of them still work for the Vikings already, and I'm assuming some of them will probably take over the roles of like chairman and team president one day. And that may fix things, and things will get better, and they'll have a better approach. But until then, I think with Ziggy and Mark leading this team, I don't think they're ever going to win a Super Bowl. They don't have the right mindset to do what it takes, make the sacrifices, and they run a great like organization as a whole. Like you mentioned, US Bank Stadium, one of the best in the NFL. TCO Performance Center, great facilities, great medical staff, great coaching staff, everything. But it goes beyond that to actually win a Super Bowl. There's only one team that wins a Super Bowl every year, and you have to do a lot of things right. And the Vikings come up short on a lot of those things every year. So I don't think it's going to happen.
And I agree with you on that point that, look at the NFLPA player cards that got banned, but somehow still made it out there. And I'm sure they will again. Facilities, treatment of families, coaching staff, like they do not, compared to like an ownership group like the Cardinals or Bengals, they do pretty damn well.
Kyler Murray's at the Ritz-Carlton right now.
I know he's probably like his dreams are a reality, man. Like he's got his sandwich, his banana, and a Gatorade. He's just he's sitting there like digging out his wallet. They're like, "What are you doing? Like you don't have to pay for this, man."
Can I get seconds? It's like those. It's like the people you see that we saw from like other countries coming here to eat. And they're like, "I get free. I can fill this like 1,000 times." It's like,
what is this Buc-ee's place?
Yeah.
Brisket on the board?
I just get chips and salsa for free.
Great. But I agree with you. Like I think either this current group has to have an epiphany. And what they would say as a counter is they would look at how the fan base reacted to 4-8 and be like, well, yeah, we were hated by that. I don't think anybody hated the Vikings. I think everybody was super frustrated because that team should have done a lot more than they did last season. And JJ McCarthy probably wasn't ready to start. Like in hindsight, looking back on it, maybe they should have signed Aaron Rodgers. Maybe they should have signed another veteran, that's less polarizing. Yeah. I think sometimes the Wilfs care too much about what fans think as opposed to making the best long-term decisions for this franchise. And, they can spend all the money they want. They can do all the cool things with the families, and that's all great. But when it comes to winning a championship, you have to understand how this works sometimes. And yeah, you do catch lightning in a bottle and you do get Justin Jefferson. But as you mentioned, where has Justin Jefferson taken us? That's not a criticism of Justin Jefferson. I think that's a total system failure. Like there's nothing wrong with Justin Jefferson, but the fact that they keep 8-9, 9-8, 10, that Jeff Fisher range, right? Like it's just, and it's exactly what they're doing with Kevin O'Connell. Marvin Lewis didn't win a fucking playoff game and he was there for 17 years or whatever it was. Yeah. So yes, sadly, if it doesn't happen under this generation of Wilfs, I'll probably never see them win a Super Bowl because I'm 40. Maybe that's a little morbid, but
Ziggy's 70s is getting there.
Ziggy's 70?
I'm old. I think he's in his 60s.
All right, I gotta look this up. Ziggy Wilf age.
Yeah, they're up
he's
there.
76 years old.
I knew they're old. So like,
how old is Mark Wilf?
Right, probably in his 60s.
Maybe 63 or 64 years old. Wow.
So probably like 5 more years with Ziggy.
Yeah. And then so like Mark. Probably more like 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
Maybe they get Arch Manning in the draft and maybe Arch does something.
Arch Manning's son.
Arch Manning's son. I don't know. I can't add.
Peyton Manning's son's coming up, right? And we'll get Peyton Manning's son.
Marshall Manning, yes.
Adrian Peterson's son will be available by then, probably.
We'll just get all the
Percy Harvin's
sons, all the sons of guys we watched.
Too bad Randy Moss's kids. Well, does he have another kid? I don't think he does. I think all his kids are grown.
Because Thad Moss was on with teammates with Jefferson, actually.
Yeah, he had the best
2019 championship team, but
he was not good. Not good enough.
Alas. All right. I got the fourth one.
Oh boy.
And it's gonna hurt some people.
It's gonna ruffle some feathers.
If I had the purge siren, I would, or that was actually
that's the skull. That's the skull.
That's the skull. Hey, by the way, since we're in this do you think the Vikings should integrate that Norway row?
Yes.
Or I just think
I've heard a lot of people say the Gopher should because it's row the boat.
Yes. I think Gophers I can listen to.
Yeah, it's
But
college. You gotta. Do they have anything like that? I don't think they have anything like in between quarters or halftime or anything like that, right?
no,
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Yeah.
not a lot of tradition at go. There's they do play Zombie Nation, and you're like, Sky, you my bitch, but like that's not.
It's no jump
It's kind
around
of
in Wisconsin.
it's not jump around, no, and it's not even neck at LSU where he's like, hey, suck that tiger. Yeah, okay, let's
No, if the Vikings take it, I think they should do it like in between the third and fourth quarter, like to just get people riled up. Although it would also be annoying if the Vikings are getting pummeled and they're like, "Yeah, let's do the row the boat." It's like, how about just fuck off?
That's one of my favorite things in
But no,
CFB.
and
They
now I'm
like
rooting.
blow
I am
out the
rooting.
Badgers, and
I am
then
rooting for Norway now in the World Cup because all their fans wear Viking helmets, and then Holland is just like a mutant. He's like 6'6", just scores wherever he wants on the field. Their big like striker guy that they have on their team. He's ridiculous. And they're
were they
playing
down
England.
to 8?
Yeah, they're in the final 8, and they play England on Saturday in Miami.
Sure, it'll be fun.
It's fun. It's World Cup.
As you can tell, I'm not. America's done.
Being in
World
San
Cup's
Diego,
over. What's
being in
that?
San Diego, I feel like being in San Diego helps because there's a lot of soccer fans here. We're 15 minutes away from Mexico, and we have we have an MLS team too. So they've been hosting a bunch of like watch parties to watch, and they posted the U.S. game, or they had it up during the Padres game, which tells you how good the Padres season is going too. That people went to Petco to watch the U.S. team and not the Padres. We were playing at the same time.
Right. I don't know. Shout out to the Minnesota United Loons. That's our MLS. Cool colors too. They got the black and kind of like the light Carolina blue.
Yes.
I like their logo and their color scheme, but never. And I do want to see their stadium. So okay, maybe I'm like a closet soccer fan. You know what I'm not a fan of? Fantasy football. That's my next take. Fantasy football actually sucks. And again, like my other takes, my uncle got me into fantasy football when I was school aged. You know, it helped me learn math.
Was football the first fantasy sport you played?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. I did fantasy football, and then like I saw all the other stuff, and
I think I did fantasy basketball first, like on
Yep.
ESPN with like I think like Paul Pierce was on my team or something. He's on the
Remember,
Celtics.
I think my first fantasy basketball one, I had Jerry Stackhouse on my team, and I was like,
Wizards?
hell yeah. Sixers.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's even earlier.
Yeah, so maybe this, but I remember like my uncle had a dynasty league and he had Lawrence Phillips like on his team. So like it was way back, like way back then. Yeah, like he had like paper and I had to keep scoring. I don't think I did it, so I might have screwed up their entire league because I hate fantasy football. So a group of college buddies did a league. We had a lot of fun. We were able to stay connected, and if you can find a great league, I'm sure it's a blast. But here is why it sucks. Forming the league, you need to get 10 to 12 people on the same page. Do you realize how hard that is? Like, this is 100 times worse than getting a trip out of the group chat. It almost is, because you need to get those 10 or 12 people in the same place at the same time to draft their teams. Like, sit down, even in an online draft, it's like, well, when can we draft? Well, I don't know. Little Jimmy's got soccer practice and, you know, I can't, you know, all that stuff. It's like pulling teeth to even get the damn thing together. And then you have the draft itself and you're preparing for it. You're listening to podcasts, trying to find the next big thing. You're going to impress all your buddies, right? Oh, Damon Claiborne. He's just like, he's got that speed like Jahmyr Gibbs, Dylan Bell. Oh, I'm going to take him and people aren't going to know who he is. And I'm going to look like a genius. And you start preparing, and every fantasy football analyst gives you all the information, you know. Well, I had the number 1 pick in my league and I took Jahmyr Gibbs. Oh, wow. How'd you know how to do that? That's amazing. Well, then the number 2 pick was Bijan Robinson. Oh, that's a groundbreaking. I had the number 3 pick and I took Justin Jefferson because I like the Vikings and they beat the Packers last year. And then while all this is going on, you have some guy in the corner who doesn't watch football and just like flipped open a cheat sheet on his phone, and he's going to win the damn league, not even knowing what he's doing. He might not even make a pickup the entire year, and he'll still kick your ass. And then there's the peer pressure of joining a fantasy league, because you can't just play one league because you're a bitch if you turn anybody down. Like pretty soon you're in 8 different leagues, including your father's coworkers, son-in-laws, brothers, dentists, chiropractors, therapists, baristas, guillotine league that you don't even know, but you're like, hey, it was a low buy-in and I figured I could win this thing. So, you're just bandwidth out the wazoo or whatever. So then the season starts. And you get up on Sunday and you're just like, who am I going to start all week? Oh my God, I can't decide. You're using AI, you're calling your friends, you're ignoring their advice. And the guy you pick is going to be the wrong guy because they're going to get like 2 points. And the guy on your bench is going to have like 5 touchdowns in the greatest game ever. And next thing, you're an idiot. Half the league stops caring about week 3 because their team sucks. And you start playing dudes who have like 3 or 4 starters on bye because they stopped checking it. And you also can't enjoy football. Like, you'll be watching the Vikings. You'll see Justin Jefferson score a touchdown. You'll be like, well, that's great. I have him in my one league, but I'm playing it in 4 different others. This one, I'll give you this story. This one time, this was in 2010 when everything fell apart for the Vikings. Greg Jennings scored 3 touchdowns against the Vikings. The Vikings were getting their ass kicked so bad, I started cheering for Jennings because I wanted to win that game. 3 months later, when the Packers won the Super Bowl, I came home from the bar because I went to school in Wisconsin. And I think I've told this story on the podcast. I did not realize what I was wearing because I was at an anti-Packer party and my friend and her 7-foot basketball boyfriend were downtown. So like I ran down, I was wearing a Percy Harvin jersey and I bought a terrible towel online. And I walked into this Packer bar during the Packers Steelers Super Bowl. And this guy like tried to basically throw a Molotov cocktail at me and light me on fire. It was awesome. But I came home and my friend was there, the friend that I was playing that week in fantasy. And I was like, man, it's just a game, whatever. And he goes, it's just a game. Then he said I should do, something like, the purge thing I was mentioning at the beginning with Greg Jennings. He threw a glass at my head. So like that was a whole bunch of things. And if you're fortunate enough to be good or not have the team you're playing score 1 billion points against you every week, you get to navigate a complete minefield in the playoffs because everybody is hurt. Fuck Justin Jackson. I am going to say that because 2021, I was 12-2, not having a lick of fun at all. And Austin Eckler got hurt. So Justin Jackson was out there and the guy I was playing picked him up. And everybody's like, why wouldn't you pick Justin Jackson up? And I'm like, I don't know. He sucks. He racked up 162 yards from scrimmage and 2 touchdowns. He played in the NFL for 5 years. He had one other game where he went over 100 yards, but 162 against my ass in the most important game of the year. I sat during a family Christmas crashing out, and everybody was wondering, why are you so upset? This is so weird. This is not like you at all. Then there's the aftermath. And I know I'm going on here, but I have a vein to cut open. Because you're sending the worst person in your league to a Waffle House for 24 hours. Why? Because they drafted Justin Jefferson. Oh, you drafted Justin Jefferson in the first round. He doesn't know anything about football. No, he's just insanely unlucky. You hate players that you have no business hating. Travis Kelce, I hate him with a passion. Christian McCaffrey, I can't even stand to look at him. I keep thinking about how he took Brazilian steroids to fight off his Achilles injury a couple years. Anybody you pick that instantly got hurt, and then you rage drop, you rage trade. The 2 leagues I was in last year, I got bounced from a guillotine league in week 1, and the other league, 2 people auto-drafted, the commissioner got fired, and a bunch of people stopped following their team in week 3. Maybe I just need to follow a better league or whatever. Or just not take it so seriously. But I have no desire to join a league. I see it on Twitter and, oh, my fantasy league. What does it mean to my fantasy league? Fuck your fantasy league. Fantasy football sucks. That's my take.
Would this be a bad time to ask you if you want to join my fantasy league?
I might.
No, I'm kidding. I don't have it. I think my only response would be there are workarounds now of like getting everyone to draft together. I have been in leagues where like you have to draft your pick within 24 hours or whatever. That makes drafts take way longer. But that's one workaround. But yeah, and people get very serious about fantasy football. I'm glad you said you weren't in 91 leagues like another person who has been in the news recently. Yeah, fantasy football makes a lot of people a lot of money. It helps people's careers. But I've never been like super diehard into like I have friends who like people who are in dynasty leagues are very serious where they're like I've had friends who they'll be like watching the combine and I'll be like, what are you doing? You're just watching the combine? I'll be like, yeah, I'm scouting for my fantasy team. I'm like, the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
It's like,
I've been
guys, and it's for like $250. It's not even for like if it was for like $5,000, sure, go for it. But it's never for that much because we all live with like regular people. And yeah, like the fantasy stuff, it gets out of hand because fans and with like the betting has made it even worse. Like fans yelling at players because they were half a yard off from hitting their prop bet or whatever, or sending like players death threats. And it's like, guys, chill out. Like it's your money. Those players have nothing to do with it unless they're in the NBA. And then, just leave them alone. But yeah, I haven't I play fantasy football probably like I'll try and make it like one league a year. But I always make sure it's unpaid because that way like if I miss a week or I forget about it, I don't care because it's unpaid. But yeah, there are a lot of people who are very serious about it. There are a lot of people who love it, who do like those silly punishments too, whatever we want to do. But I don't I'm not super passionate about it. So I don't think I have like, I'm not like super in agreement with you or super against it. It's fantasy football. If you like it, if not, oh well.
And there's the last thing I say, there is a space where it can be enjoyable. If you get a group of people who are all in bet, like the league I used to be in, we would meet every year for the draft and something crazy would happen every year at the draft. Like one year.
I'll probably,
One year we went
okay, you go.
I'm sorry. No, I'm just excited to share this story because it's awesome. We were up in Alexandria, Minnesota for the draft one year. And like, I remember we were on the golf course and we called it like the LFFL Open, it was called. And one group ahead of, so I was in the wrong group because people were like way too competitive about the golf thing. And the group ahead of us was just having the time of their life. So like I'm getting yelled at for like missing a birdie putt. And I look ahead and like they're like drinking out of the fireball bottle on the green, like on the floor rolling. And it's just like, we should probably get out of here. So, I mean, it can be fun. Yes. But
yeah,
overall, maybe I just need to find a fun league. If you know a fun league, let me know and we'll
I think it's a good way to get people who kind of like wonder why people like the NFL so much, to get them into football. Like people who just don't know a whole lot about it. It's a good way to get their interest, to follow players and develop, like, maybe you don't have a favorite team yet, but you like this player and then you end up liking the team. So it's good. It can be good in aspects, but when people take it too seriously, it starts to get out of hand, and then sometimes attorney generals get involved. So, yeah. All right. My final take, it's not related to the Vikings. It's just related to life overall. And I don't know if you do this. But people who park in the pickup order spots at the grocery store and then leave their car to go into the store as if they are regular spots should have their driver's license suspended. So every Saturday or Friday, whenever we get groceries, my wife orders it on her phone, sends a order, and I go pick them up. It's a good system we have. Came out of the pandemic. One of the good things that came out of the pandemic. So So if you're not familiar, after you order groceries, you get a certain time to go pick them up. And when you go, you park in a certain section of spots that are marked off, usually color coded as the pickup order only spots. And then they're usually pretty close to the entrance of whatever store, so employees don't have to walk around, the entire parking lot to deliver the stuff. However, almost every single time I go there are cars in these pickup order only spots that are empty, no driver, no passenger. So then, as I'm waiting for my groceries in my car to be brought out, the people who own these cars that are empty come back, act like nothing's going on. They just brought whatever they brought from inside the store and leave like nothing's wrong. Like they think these spots are just open in the front, just randomly. Like, oh, people must have missed these. Wonder why they're open. I'll just park right here. No, they're not. They specifically say in each spot for pickup orders only. This doesn't mean get out and go do regular shopping. This means park, do whatever you got to do in the app, sit there till someone comes out with your order. So yeah, people who do this should not be allowed on the road. Take an Uber, take a bus. Just get out of my sight. Yeah, I could go on and on. I feel like this is like a curb your enthusiasm like type of episode. What are you doing?
and then you get charged with assault at the end or something.
Yeah.
Just like,
They're trying to steal my groceries.
Groceries, Dad.
But like, I'm sitting there. I'll be sitting there waiting for groceries, and there'll be an empty car over here, and an empty car over here. I'm like, guys, this is not what they're for.
We have Hy-Vees up. That's our big,
Yeah.
everything has like a regional chain, right?
Yep.
They have like drive-throughs actually. So you like just go in and you're just like, hey, I have an order for Chris, and they go, oh, okay, and they pop. I've never done it before because I'm always afraid that I'll forget something when I'm doing like an online thing. Because like I will make a grocery list and then I'll go in and I'll be like, oh, I forgot to put that on the list. I need that too. So I don't know. And also I don't have kids. Like if I had kids, I would.
That's why we do it, because I don't want to bring them in. We shop at like Target and Walmart. We never leave if I brought them in there.
Absolutely.
So
it makes sense. Yeah. I mean,
it's just, I'm just like, guys, these are not for
you.
you.
It's a lot like people who park in the, so like when I worked at Quick Trip, we would get people who would park in the handicap spot all the time.
Just quick, real quick. I'll be real quick, right? That's what they probably say. I'll be real quick.
Yeah. I'm only there for I just need some Black and Milds. Come on, like it's a couple swishers. Get out of the freaking spot because somebody might need that. So
also,
no,
you get a ticket, okay? But yeah,
you can't get it. You won't get a ticket parking in the
I'm 39. I probably have better things to complain about, but it's been on my mind because every time I go, it's just people. I'm just like, it's not for you. Okay? They're not just randomly open for you to be there. So whatever. Fantasy football sucks.
As our tribal chief once said, "You're old."
Yeah.
But hey, I mean, there's little things that I get triggered about, like when I see the landscape people and they're just outside, just with their little weed whacker, not even whacking, just usually right outside of my apartment. Yeah, as I'm trying to like write about Dylan Bell hype or something.
Yeah.
If you wanted to read about Dylan Bell hype, you could probably go to thevikingage.com. What's going on at the Viking Age right now, Adam?
Well, we're trying to find it's July, so we're scraping at the bottom of the barrel, as you know, because you're writing for the Viking Age right now. But I'm also, last time, I haven't been on the podcast in 2 weeks, and in between that time, I started a series about 1-year quarterbacks that the Vikings have had in their history, and Kyler Murray could be another one. There are, I believe, 12 or 13. And I'm just going throughout the next week or two through every one. I've done Sam Darnold, obviously. I did Josh Dobbs. I did Case Keenum. I think next is Donovan McNabb. I think he's next. So Spurgeon Wynn is on that list. Jim McMahon is on that list. Kelly Holcomb, just a lot of great memories on that list. Jeff George is on there too. That was a fun one. So yeah, just a fun little off-season topic. And then we're going to be doing some cool stuff, I think, in the near future, coming up with like a Viking Age Hall of Fame where we pick like the greatest Vikings players, and then we'll have a section for that fans can vote on and stuff too. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, go check out thevikingage.com.
Lots of great stuff at the Viking Age. Of course, I am writing at the Viking Age as well. We got plenty of talented writers over there, so go check all of that out. Of course, if you want more from me, I write at zonecoverage.com as well. Vikings coverage, Twins coverage. I dabble in some wild stuff at hockeywilderness.com. That is something that I like doing, but also too, the fan-sided sites. I'll plug those as well. They've been going off the charts lately with people checking it out. We got Puckett's Pond for the Twins. We got Dunking with Wolves for the Timberwolves. We got Gone Puck Wild for the Minnesota Wild. I'm everywhere, man. If you just type in my name, like, you'll probably find my stuff somewhere. You might
Google
find
me.
Google me. I win. Not in fantasy football though. That's why I think it sucks. But anyway. But this is the Viking Age podcast. It's the official podcast of thevikingage.com. We do this right here on the Viking Age YouTube channel. We're in podcast form on Apple and Spotify the very next day. However you consume us, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe so you never miss a new episode and we can spread the word to the masses. He is Adam Patrick at Adam Patrick NFL. I am Chris Schad at The Real Krishan. Skol.